It is time. The April monthly report is here. We're leading up to the biggest patch in Star Citizen's history, potentially. DefenseCon's coming up with a whole bunch of new ships. We've got social tools talk. We've got heavy armor talk. We got lore talk. Valacar. All kinds of stuff is getting covered in this month's monthly report. So as always, I'm going to take you through all the features and stuff in one go. And then we're going to return to all the ship updates and jump in with our ship tracking ship sheet. Wait, let me pull that up. We're going to jump in with this and we'll cover all the ships afterwards. So if you are here with us live, thank you so much for joining me. AI content's kicking us off in April. They saw the narrative design team introduce tactical strike groups. These content drops incorporate new chapters and a staged mission progression, which presented several unique challenges, such as ensuring the comm notification triggered correctly. Narrative design worked alongside mission design to get everything functioning and are eager for the community to start experiencing it. I think we're going to hear a lot about tactical strike groups during this report. It's like their big thing that's coming. I have not been impressed so far from seeing it in game, but I need to go through a whole run through and get a better idea of it. The team also supported a performance capture shoot to record content for several other upcoming content drops alongside general population dialogue and conversations. They also tackled bugs affecting social areas and comm notifications for Alpha 4.8. AI features and tech. AI tech and features began April with various optimization tasks, including a refactor of the Hermite cubic spline implementation to achieve better performance. We all know a Hermite. A major performance offender was also fixed in the derived version of the original spline code used in cinematics. Work is currently underway to replace the current brute force arc linear integration with a more reliable set. The navigation octree memory was further optimized too. This is what I'm usually used to reading in the R&D section. Don't confuse me like this in AI, please. Time was then dedicated to the flight AI, with the team working to improve air-to-ground combat. Interesting. For example, when targets are moving planetside, such as the player, a turret, or ground vehicles. NPC's gonna start shooting us on the ground? They also began improving other mechanics, such as making jousting faster and more intense. Close distance strafing and direction changes were more prevalent, and providing better tactic selection and transitions. Fleeing and chasing are being improved too, alongside formation interceptions. For navlinks and the Pathfinder, the team upgraded NPCs traversing manual doors via control panels. Elevator and transit system improvements were also made alongside NPCs using airlock systems. I'm not going to get super deep into this, but we listened to this a lot last year. Some of you may remember them talking about navigation links. That's this kind of stuff. When an NPC gets to a door, an elevator, any sort of transition into another space, they have to navigate through these navigation links. And this kind of sounds like the polish on top of that. The devs then restructured melee data to be more modular. This will allow them to more easily reuse the spatial limits in multiple aspects of NPC melee behavior. Progress was made on the creature toolkit, including updates to how triggerable actions are handled. The juvenile Valacar was ported to use the AI motive pattern, while updates were made to damage tracking and how worms submerge and emerge. Wormy boys. Finally, for AI, bug fixes were made for NPC ships remaining in close proximity to the surface of central asteroids and failing to respond to player aggression. That mean I can trick them to run into asteroids more again? Animation. In animation, we saw progress with an upcoming creature, adding new actions and attacks alongside improving existing data. They're also working on a super heavy armor set that carries a large full auto weapon. A new creature is interesting. We have not gotten any specific names on creatures. Super heavy armor. We all have to wonder if this is the super heavy armor. It's hard to know because they also still talked about it as the Titan exosuit at times. Last time it was referenced, it was in the Squadron 42 monthly report. Let's see. And I don't know what they called it at that time. Yeah, they called it the Titan still. So the fact that they're not calling it the Titan now is interesting. It doesn't necessarily mean it's not the same thing. They might want to have a little surprise for us. They might be calling it something different for the non-military version. I don't know. But super heavy armor is going to be limiting to you. It's the only way you can carry a certain type of weapon, but you also can't heal yourself. You move a lot slower. It should be, I think, more interesting than anything to fight enemies that are wearing this, because maybe it'll call for more strategy than just wait for them to stop complaining about their cousin, then shoot them. Facial animation were on set for a 2-day shoot with motion capture and narrative teams. As part of this, they captured new content for Recco Battaglia, who will be returning to Levski with a new mission, and 2 supporting characters, Isaac Kepler, and Amir Lucas. Dude, that's really important. Not only are we getting mission givers back, which are automatically pointing to a more narrative set of missions where you can actually meet an NPC and talk to them and develop a relationship and feel some sort of connection to the person that's giving you your missions. But she's also going to have supporting characters, which means there are probably going to be some kind of branch where she sends us to go talk to someone else, giving us multiple actual named characters to care about, which doesn't sound like a crazy big thing for any game, but for Star Citizen, a game where the last person people cared about was a faceless voice on a radio in 2016, nice to get some of this. I also have a video for any of you guys who are supporters. If you want to, and you are a supporter on Twitch, Patreon, or YouTube, I have a video about this somewhere. Here. Talks about the return of mission givers. And it goes over what I think this is like the last step of a big arc they've been taking in trying to bring narrative back to the game. Started a while back with the people actually making video calls, extended a little bit further with Wicklow coming in and being somewhat of a transaction point. I think the last step is really just to bring back in new NPCs like this. So if you're a supporter, you can go and watch that. If not, you can keep watching this. Yay! All right. New content was captured for NPCs around Nyx, expanding the voice packs players will hear in landing locations. Content was also closed out for Alpha 4.8, which includes 2 new characters for a new mission. I'm guessing that's not these 2 new characters. I'm guessing it's for the guy that calls us for the tactical strike groups. Art on the character side spent April developing a new armor set and in-game rewards. They also continued to support the starwear initiative and polished projects for 4.8. The concept art team explored a new gang and finalized handoff sheets for a new combat armor. Interesting. Moving on to art on the weapons side of things, the weapons team put the finishing touches on the new Castak Arms plasma grenade, preparing it for release and to blind everyone. They also completed a polish pass for the Ultiflex Novia crossbow, updating some of the geometry to align it with current weapon standards and ensure it lives up to expectations. One more look at those, because those for combat. The freaking grenade is so crazy to me.
And then the main event, the Novia crossbow. Now you can
Crossbow's pretty cool.
In bad folks, good folks, and anyone that just annoys you in style with this retro-inspired, futuristic death dealer.
But this grenade,
plasma grenades for blowing things up.
Look at that, dude. It fills the whole... That's definitely an area of effect grenade. Work also began on a new large caliber weapons set scheduled for later in the year, while material polish passes continued on numerous existing weapons. Don't forget we have a lever action railgun coming to the game later in the year. So still some fun stuff going on in the weapons front. On to core gameplay. The actual GOAT of Star Citizen monthly reports. And a pretty short section, unfortunately, for this month, so might not be as exciting as normal, but let's dive in. In April, core gameplay supported various initiatives and focused on bug fixing for Alpha 4.8. Core gameplay also worked on the last details of Ship Hangar Services T0, preparing it to go live in Alpha 4.8. And a list of bugs from the inventory rework was compiled from QA and the players, with the devs working to fix as many of the most critical ones as possible. Don't say they don't bug fix, just maybe not the bugs we want. For refueling, iterations were made to refine the gameplay experience, mechanics, and overall flow, with the main goal of streamlining the feature. For that, core gameplay supported mission design and the delivery of a new mission, or new missions. Lastly, tasks for an NPC refueling beacon are underway, allowing players who get stranded to call for help. Anybody else been able to get that working yet? Are we getting the beacons actually functioning? The number one response to this so far I've seen is, I never run out of fuel. Better yet, has anybody been able to answer a beacon and refuel someone else? Work on vehicle component crafting made progress, exposing a variety of new stats to the design team to modify it as part of the crafting flow. This is fantastic. This is, I think, a quiet part of what's happening with Alpha 4.8. Moving more crafting into the game is really big for the stuff that they're adding. Starwear also progressed, with the team preparing for an internal demonstration showcasing the ability to customize characters using a variety of clothing and armor pieces. I'll give you a look at what Starwear is. I know I confuse people a little bit by saying the stats are related, but in reality, Starwear is mainly defined by this video.
Right combination for the right situation. Let's look at some of the possibilities that Starwear will be able to provide you.
I love that they use the Chris mocap, the Chris dancing mocap. All right, the guy looks sick. This guy looks dope. I appreciate what he's wearing. Who doesn't like a trench coat? So this is actually a pretty big deal, being able to wear clothing and armor, mainly for the fashion citizens out there, but I do think it's going to give them more incentive to make clothing and armor actually make sense together more. Mission design. April saw the missions team design fundamental changes to the contract system. We love to hear it. Contract system kind of sucks. The first that players will see is a limit on how many contracts they can have active at one time. Actually, I did see that in 4.8. While the first implementation will help fix exploits, it will not be the final or full version, which will be talked about in more detail at a later date. Interesting to just like limit the amount of missions you can take. I actually never thought about that. I don't think I've ever played a game where I just tried to take a ton of missions, but I guess some of their recent gameplay deliveries have incentivized people to just sign up to every possible mission they can, which is not the best way to build your game. The team also polished the defend location ship mission, balancing it ahead of its release, and further progressed with refueling missions, both of those in the roadmap down here. Refueling missions and space combat missions, both still tentative though, interestingly. The FPS versions of defend locations, where players have a variety of competing objectives to complete in the harder difficulties, received feedback and are currently being polished. That's nice. I hope they can add these to new locations and not bunkers. Give me a space station to defend, or an asteroid facility, or a distribution center. Tactical strike groups is also being finalized to ensure it's working as intended and is fun to play. We're very excited for you to play this, the mission team said. Expected. That's the big thing next month. On the narrative side of things have been getting more interesting over the last few months. Let's see if there's anything here. Narrative began April by wrapping up content for Alpha 4.8. This involved handling several large-scale content drops, including tactical strike groups, mission text and content for the refueling missions, and introducing several new factions to support the new gameplay. We get new factions? We got new factions in 4.8? I don't even know who it is. Development continued on the Starchitect tool to incorporate narrative needs into the projection of outposts and characters to ensure assets are created in line with the planet lore. I'm so freaking hyped for Starchitect. Please, please, please. POIs and missions. POIs and missions. Just make them different, make them interesting. I would love it. In an effort to get ahead, there were also initial conversations about initiatives later in the year to try and anticipate what kind of content could be captured sooner than later. Yeah, I like that. Online technology. In Montreal, the Live Tools team completed various improvements to the internal tools that keep Star Citizen's operations and development running smoothly. This is a huge segment this month. There was a major focus on Hex, the team's player investigation and support program. Hex actually drives our reputation. The team is currently working on a full visual and UX overhaul named Hex 4.0 that established a new design system to guide all future development. Moreover, the team are adding powerful new capabilities for support staff. The team then spent time stabilizing Panic Switch. Nonsense, Panic Switch, just one of the most stable people in our chat. Love you, bro. A recently launched tool for managing live service incidents, fixing editing bugs, improving the dashboard experience, and migrating configuration data. Regarding Bootstrap, the tool that helps developers run local environments, the team finished user research interviews and journey mapping. They're currently moving into the technical design phase for a full client revamp. Work also continued on error reporting, with the team improving crash report reliability and enriching the data captured with each report, including stream context, badge information, and severity levels. Alongside these improvements, the whole team contributed to ongoing maintenance across Hex, Bootstrap, and error reporting, resolving dozens of standalone bugs and smaller requests. The team also completed work to unblock the editor team by delivering key Jira integration features for error reporting. It's just workflow stuff. As spring is slowly dressing the trees, the Live Tools team says, the Live Tools team is positioned to continue driving meaningful improvements to the tools that support Star Citizen's development and live operations. Love good development in spring. Keep it up, guys. In April, the online services team completed work on lazy inventory creation and inventory ID enforcement. These make the game's items and inventory systems more reliable to players. The social features pipeline advanced, with chat actively in development alongside other features such as friends, online presence, and party viewer all queued up as upcoming deliverables. Upcoming, but when? Upcoming, but when? This is the only thing that I'm going to be adamant about a when question on. Social tools have easily become the most needed thing in this game, in my opinion, in the last few months. And I'm not even talking social tools like anything super crazy. I just mean like voice chat, the thing Halo 2 launched with. As usual, the team continued to provide ongoing support for Mission System V1, addressing design requests around instanced operations, per cycle item limits, and contract advertisement behaviors in instanced environments. I'm excited to see what they do with this. I do think that Mission System V1, and as they've been saying lately, Starchitect are being developed in line with each other to kind of make sure that everything makes sense. Like right here, they said they want stuff to match the planet lore, the outposts and characters, all that kind of stuff. They're also hooking that into missions, so hopefully missions are very tied in with what we're doing at the places we go to, and there are a lot of places to go to. So that could be great for the game, the combination of these two systems, but it's still kind of a wait and see moment. Work on a global database sharding service was completed. This behind-the-scenes improvement is aimed at making the game's infrastructure more scalable as the player population grows. The team engaged closely with QA to build a new tracking dashboard for long-term persistence bugs, thus improving visibility and response speed for the live game. Early design and discovery work also began on the crafting and refining systems. Across all these efforts, OST remained focused on stability, player experience, and preparing the systems that will power Star Citizen in the future. Sorry, I just had a bit of a brain fart. Just trying to remember the specific names of each team. Yeah, I don't think OST is what I think it is. The network team progressed with a system to manage how players persistent in-game data, such as inventory and progress, is updated and preserved across different versions and patches. This ensures that nothing is lost when the game evolves. Please God. The day that this becomes 100% reliable is the day I think you can start suggesting this game to more people. Because just losing stuff sucks. A significant round of improvements to server meshing was merged into the main game build. Ooh. These updates replace older components with newer, more capable versions that are better equipped to handle the demands of dynamically connected universe. That's okay. Progress on server meshing is great. Don't know if we're going to notice it, but that might be the reason that we want to, that might be the reason for it. Or that might mean it's succeeding if we don't notice it. On the live game front, the team tracked down the causes of an out-of-memory crash affecting the replication layer's hybrid services. A hotfix was deployed and stability improved, though the team is keeping a close eye on the situation. Work is also ongoing to resolve a client disconnection error that some players have been experiencing. I see you, some players. Thanks for letting them know. R&D. In April, further changes were made to the shader compile server to significantly improve robustness, latency, and throughput. As a follow-up, Client-side communications with the remote shader compile server was also cleaned up and optimized. Anybody else ever go through these with me every month? I appreciate you. And hear about these optimizations and wonder what the game would look like without them? I find it very hard to hear about optimizations in these monthly reports and then go into the game and appreciate them, because it's just hard to know what it would be like without them. We still experience a game that feels relatively broken, so it's easy to be like, well, these optimizations aren't doing anything. But I always wonder just how far they go. Focus then shifted to further improving the rendering quality of gas clouds. Support for ray jittering and non-linear stepping was added. Evaluations of cloud edge details was also upgraded to minimize the amplification of noise when undersampling due to performance constraints. I think this might be talking about when you know that problem that they had terribly with the clouds that they got rid of during CitizenCon 2023? Can probably find that real quick here. I think you can see it particularly here. Yeah. So this is the noise I think that they're talking about, right? Amplification of noise on cloud edge details due to performance constraints, I do believe, is this noise that pops up at lower levels. They took care of this quite well for that patch. I think that was in 3.23. But still, you can pick it up when you're playing. So it looks like they're still trying to do some things to minimize that. These changes revealed potential GPU performance gains, which will be investigated in May. Tech art and animation. This is also pretty big for this month. Throughout April, the technical animation team continued to advance content across creatures, characters, armor, and the underlying pipeline. A major development was a scale of work towards new DNA heads currently underway. The team is simultaneously driving Gate 5 expression and polish passes on a large number of named characters across a broad range of identities and ethnicities that will populate the PU. Two named characters, Amir Lucas and Isaac Kepler, had targeted head rig feedback addressed and now have ready status. An additional number of heads was approved for submission. Head RC errors across the pipeline were resolved, and incorrect material IDs on two minor character head meshes were identified and fixed. Work on reducing rig logic memory overhead continues in the background. We're always working to reduce rig logic around here. Development of the super heavy combat suit materials progressed well. Blend space and animation support were validated and closed out. The Maya rig for the backpack is underway, and animation implementation and testing are in progress. The armor set will bring a new tier of combat physicality to the PU players. Support for importing motion warp points alongside animation files in Maya was delivered, which is useful for animators working on complex character interactions. Several RC errors affecting character and fish assets were resolved and approved for submission, keeping the asset pipeline clean. Gotta keep those f***ing fish in check. Across all areas, the team's output reflects continued momentum in Star Citizen's character and creature roster ahead of upcoming release milestones. I'm glad to hear that they're getting better at character art. I really hate how much a lot of people just kind of look similar. I did miss this line. Work on the Apex Sand Valacar continued with team rigging an entirely new mesh. We usually see updates with the Sand Valacar up here. We only saw the Juvenile Valacar. They are putting a lot of work into that one. I hope it's fun to fight. On the VFX side, VFX worked through major tasks for Alpha 4.8, such as vehicles, including the Drake Ironclad, tactical strike groups, and the Kastak Arms plasma grenade, and the Ultiflex Novia crossbow. We also had some additional fire-related requests, which are always fun to do, the VFX team said, which includes something you have to shoot during the tactical strike groups thing. So, that's your monthly report. It's got some interesting bits in it. It's not the most exciting one this year so far, but still fairly good. Kind of a bummer too, because usually the ones that come out before Invictus are pretty exciting. They tend to quiet down a little bit over the summer at times, so we'll have to see what happens this summer. But with so much going on this year and so much planned for the rest of this year, I don't think we're going to get any boring monthly reports. So I'll be back with you for May's next month, and we'll talk about the goods. Again, if you want to join us for this live, usually we do it on Mondays. But lately, because they've been releasing them, just so much news, we've been doing them on Thursdays and Fridays. So come join us.